use it. Just gonna go grab a drink of water, then we'll probably start. If you'd like to ask a question during the live stream or before, question in brackets, and then just ask away. Oh, hello. Yeah. Oh. Bear with me 1 second. Rawr. It's a bear. Work out how to make the screen happen. Oh, let's tweet first. Star Citizen Alpha 3.17.2 and what else you want to chat about? BoredGamer, yay. Gamer, Star Citizen. Perfect. What else I need to do? Let's bring the mic closer. Chuck it in my Discord. Close this bad boy. Double check the news. And we are good. Got an Amazon page open. Don't know why. It's because I'm a dumb. Hi. Hello. Rivertech. Just in big letters when the stream starts. Hello. I hope you are doing well, everyone. It's the 22nd of July. And we've got a Friday feeling for you. And we've got Battle of the Bricks happening later today. So that's the EVE Online community and the Star Citizen community teams coming together live in sort of a location in Manchester, potentially the Manchester studio for Cloud Imperiums, for Star Citizen. And they're going to be doing silly things on a live stream for Extra Life, the charity Extra Life, but also building Lego ships of the other games. So the EVE guys will be building Star Citizen ships, and the Star Citizen guys will be building the EVE ships. It should be good love. And there's giveaways and things throughout that stream. I think it's now at 5 PM UTC. I think it was originally 4 PM UTC. I can't remember exactly. But it should be 5 PM UTC on the Star Citizen Twitch. So you should go and check that out, actually. And check out some of that stuff here. Bam, this is the page for it. That's what we got. We've got the Banning Merchantman and the Prime from EVE. I think I would have preferred, so hopefully maybe they'll build like a Sakaldari or a Raven or something. Raven, I like the Raven's I think the Drake actually is the most iconic ship in EVE for me, just because I used it so much for generally dossing about, because it's so tanky. Back in the day, a big EVE player, and he sort of stopped. Was it 2003 EVE came out? For about 10 years. Then after that, well, it was like on and off it, like every couple of years to play it a little bit. That's only ended sort of relatively recently. But maybe I'll get back into EVE at some point. Who knows? Boop. But yeah, Extra Life, cool children's charity. Actually, let me bring this up on the screen some more. Giveaways for both games. There's challenges and silly things that they're going to be doing. The people on the stream. I saw a spinny wheel where there was eat hot chilies and things like that on there as well. So quizzes, and it should be quite a nice, silly community event. And I'm hoping that the Star Citizen and EVE communities mesh okay. Because you've got to remember, EVE is a much longer built community. It's got like 8 to 10 years on Star Citizen, and it's got a complete game on Star Citizen that's been a very successful subscription model. And I think it probably can hold the title of the best or biggest MMO, space MMO. Especially at the moment, seeing it's got a completed game, and do you know what I mean? So it's an interesting one, bringing these communities together. There obviously lots of people that belong to both of them. I just hope it goes well. I think the stream's going to be great. I just think the chat might be a bit of a mess. But if you'd like to ask a question during my live stream, which will be largely focusing on Star Citizen, unless people ask lots of other random questions, then please do question in brackets and then bam. Have you checked out the kiddie game yet? Stray. So, DC, Zin, my editor's partner, he was playing it a bit, was watching his live stream of it. Wasn't too impressed with it. I was like, yeah, it's a cool little silly game. I don't think it's as overwhelmingly positive or as interesting from what I could see as people have said. It's a cool, beautiful game. Depends if you're into that sort of more chill stuff. I'm very much a co-op game person. I'm very much enjoying things like, well, V Rising's a little bit lackluster in its PvE content for me, but I like typically PvE content games and Rust. But co-op. Co-op's what it does it for me. So I'm going to be playing through Raft again real soon. Valheim, amazing game. And things like that. I'm looking forward to a load of these games. Void Train, I'm going to play it lots when it comes to Steam. Yeah, but I checked out Stray and was like, yeah, it's alright. You've beaten it. Definitely worth $25. Good story, good puzzles. Okay. I only saw it. I watched it for literally 15 minutes, and then he refunded it. So, okay. If it's worth it, maybe I'll check it out. I do play single-player games, typically when they're short, chill games, or card-based roguelikes and things like that, like Slay the Spire. One of my favourite games, but I also love playing things like Vampire Survivors, stuff that I can play on my old Steam Deckaroo. Although that Steam Deck has not seen any play in the last week, mainly because of the heatwave. Oh my god, it was so hot during the heatwave, like really hot. Fortunately, I've got good old. That was me patting my aircon, which was bought with donation money a few years ago. So you'd buy it if it was a dog. Maybe we can mod it. Maybe we can mod Stray, so it just changes all the cat models to dogs. Done. Boom. Just to have the mewing still, though. Mew. Oh, that was it. I remember Zin screaming, "Cats don't meow to other cats. They only do that to humans." Okay, chill. When do you think ship naming will start back up in Star Citizen? So, that's a really good question. So, ship naming exists in Star Citizen for a few ships. Some ships have the ability to be named, and then their name appears on their hull. The text there, they just need to add it for other ships. They did say that when they put in new ships, they would have that functionality immediately. That is not true. Not all ships have that functionality immediately when they put those new ships in, because they sort of like, it's an extra step that they just haven't done for them. I don't suspect it's actually that hard to add the names now that they've got the tech for it. So, because it's basically the same as serial number tech, it just allows a custom name. Custom and unique for the hull. Did you miss the 3.17.2 news? No, we haven't really started talking about Star Citizen much yet. So I was just chatting about random stuff. What do we got here? Let's go through some of these question boys, and then we'll talk about 3.17.2 and various other bits that I want to talk about, because it's going to be like things like, well, 3.17.2. Actually, let's just start with it. We'll go over it a few times throughout the sort of session. 3.17.2 is in open PTU at the moment, but Clan Imperium look to want to release it very soon. So it could be later today, it could be tomorrow, or it could be early to mid next week. It's a range of time because it's targeted, and we don't know the exact mindset of Clan Imperium, nor if there is a specific blocker that they are waiting to unblock. But the current build, the R build, is very close to being what I would deem a release candidate. It is genuinely could be, bam, they put a new 3.17.2 PTU build out, and then that could go live a few hours afterwards. So I think they want to push it live today. That's what it looks like. But that's not a confirmation. That's just, it looks very likely. The current build is pretty good. There's still a little bit of accessibility problems. The Siege of Orison test that they had recently went very well. They've been tested. So this is the sort of exciting thing for me beyond general 3.17.2 content, is that Clan Imperium have been testing 100-player servers. We know that sort of we're raising the server limits to 70, 75. We're going to test them out at 100. So that's cool. Oh, it is just for testing. They probably won't do it for the live build, but they're testing it in the PT at the moment. And if everything went super well, it's possible they could raise the server player cap for 3.17.2. And if not, then for like 3.18. Great. They're testing with, I've seen 130 player servers now. I think they might push it up even higher to like 150, maybe 200, just to see if they can. And those tests, even with the large server caps, have actually been pretty good. I haven't actually got enough data to be able to say if the 130 plus ones have been good, but certainly the 100 player servers have actually been pretty stable, and even with a large amount of players in an area, it's been working pretty well. Some of the networking updates they've put in to smooth out animations and desync have been pretty good. They don't necessarily deal with... Oh, hello. What have I pressed? Press something random. Sort of desync from weapon fire very well. So like if you're in a ship, for example, and you're firing, the damage might be coming from an offset area, or can be a little bit delayed before actually hitting you properly. So there's still obviously a lot of improvements to be made there by Cloud Imperium for Star Citizen. It is looking very promising though. 3.17.2 has been such a rollercoaster ride of constantly them chucking new content at it. Like, well, this is supposed to be quite a this is going to be a less than major normal sort of major quarterly patch. So we're calling it 3.17.2. It's in the 3.17 branch. I'm going to obviously got big tickets coming for 3.18 with sort of server meshing, tech, the persistent entity streaming, not server meshing. So step towards server meshing with persistent entity streaming, and sort of saving the locational data of objects, cargo refactor and salvage. So super important things there. But 3.17.2, they just kept on throwing lots of little small features at it, and then they sort of like threw bigger ones like, well, actually, we've got the planetary nav mesh tech starting to be shown off. So AI can move on the surfaces of planets more readily, or at least around points of interest there. Oh, and we're going to chuck in AI being able to drop in via dropships, so Cutlass Blacks in this case. They can land and drop off troops at these sort of new locations. New locations being reclaimer derelicts, reclaimer sort of points of interest and settlements they've made with them, and some new colonial outposts, which I thought were only going to be seen in Pyro, but there's some derelict ones at the very least in Stanton. So really interesting stuff. And that patch keeps on getting lots and lots and lots of little bits of content, including like things like the combat assist service beacons. They've got a range of sort of difficulties now, and much more interesting enemies that can turn up, and the high difficulty ones are actually require a group, and you can fight Idris there, and it's pretty good fun. It's pretty good fun. And what have we got here? As I said, it's not confirmed that 3.17.2 is coming out today. It does look very likely to me. Typically, Cloud Imperium will try to release on a Thursday, so they would have wanted to have released it yesterday if it was sort of ready. So it's sort of... it's pushing it. But if not today, then by middle of next week is what sort of Cloud Imperium have planned. But again, it is going to be dependent on, can they get a release candidate out that they're sort of... They go, this is a good build. This is a good, stable build with, well, maybe there's a few bugs, but the ones we can live with. Are you still melting over that? No, don't even have my aircon or fan or anything on. It's a pretty nice temperature. What is the temperature here at the moment? 21. That's lovely. Humidity is at 64%. Oh, that's pretty high humidity. Humidity's rising. Barometer's getting... No, not all the girls, no. Hey, Bored. Happy Friday. When do you think you may team up for another Star Citizen YouTube content creator collab, or a YouTube friend for a podcast? Really enjoyed the mashup of perspectives. Cheers, mate. I'm doing it regularly. So I'm going to try and get involved with Salty Mike and Super Matt Brothers and all that crowd again. Obviously, I'm still pretty good friends with them. I just reclused. I reclused myself. What else have we got? Tried to get into Eve several times, always got blown up by pirates, gave up. So, knowing the difficulty, Eve does quite a good job of slowing you into it and giving you sort of scaling missions. But you don't know what to expect when you go to an area that's quite dangerous. There's also, you can just grab a ship and do pretty high-level stuff if you wanted to. Drone rats, they always... stuff that just slows you down and just keeps you there forever. Ugh. Will the Idris release with Squadron 42? So, Clan Imperium have said... well, the Idris is in game. It isn't in players' hands in their hangars that they can sort of spawn. Yeah? So, at some point, players will be able to spawn their Idrises and buy Idrises in game. Now, but we can still fight them at the moment. They're still part of missions. The Squadron 42 Idris is a military variant of the Idris, and players will still have access to the military version. But Cloud Imperium have said a few times, actually, Squadron 42 being released isn't a necessity before we release the Idris. So they might start talking about some of the release of capital ships after they've put server meshing in with 4.0. Is it possible that they'll want to hold some stuff back with the Idris for Squadron 42? Maybe the Javelin and Idris. Maybe they go, actually, we do want to sort of hold some of this back. Maybe they won't. It's hard to tell. They could release the Idris, the civilian version, but not the military version, for example. Even Line is not a scam. Though it's had a unique and eclectic monetization. Which is also something that Star Citizen's had, a unique and eclectic monetization. Oh, no, I've lost where I was in my questions list. Pardon me. We know CIG are going to fix combat logging issues. Yes, which is great and very much needed. Any idea if they will do anything about backspaces, or do you think... So, when you talk about backspaces, you mean people that just detonate or otherwise suicide themselves. Okay. So with Death of a Spaceman, those mechanics basically go, you're mortal, you can... you don't want to get injured. You certainly don't want to die, because you've only got a certain amount of times you can be brought back before your character is permadead. It is effectively the idea there. Now, that will hopefully make people just more aware of the mortality and try and survive in any scenario. So you won't want to detonate your ship or just blow your ship up. You'll want to eject. You want to try and escape. You'll want to negotiate with pirates or going into sort of combat with them. Things like that. The other thing they said is, as far as I know, with combat logging issues, is they basically said, look, we'll sort combat logging out. Well, once we have better persistence in, basically in the not too distant future, you're going to be, if you try and just or F4 out because you're in a fight that you can't win or whatever, or you don't want to be in, you'll stay there for a little while before logging out. And if you're in combat, you won't log out until you're out of combat. Is there anything new to trade in 3.17.2? So there's new items to find. There are relics that you can find around some of the derelict outposts and the claimer sites. So look for them. I'm not sure if they're going to be sellable. I suppose they probably will be. I haven't seen any other than sort of relics and interesting old Roman coin type items and decent artifact type items. I haven't seen anything else. Although expect different and more loot in loot containers, because they sort of add new flare items and that sort of stuff in there. Obviously, it's around the Siege of Horus and other places like that. There are some interesting items to find. We expect a player cap increase for the live build, even if it's not 100 players. So we shouldn't expect it. It is possible. However, basically, Cloud Imperium have said we're not intending to do that. But I would suspect that if the tests go incredibly well, and there was no reason for them not to, they might but expect the tests not to go perfectly. Have you encountered any issues playing on PTU servers above 50 players? Not noticeably. I've played in 100-player servers, and it's been pretty good. And I've had, I know, over 50 people in a single city in around an area of space, and it working pretty well. Not noticeably different from normal server. Do you think we'll be? Do you think we'll have base building implemented for 4.0 with the release of Pyro? No. So, okay. In 2018, at the end of 2018, Aaron Roberts wanted to have base building sort of talked about more, and land claims in game. He wanted land claim gameplay to be in game. So the ability to get a beacon, put a beacon down, claim that bit of land, for you to be able to exploit the resources on that land with like prospectors or whatever, and for laws to be associated with people coming onto your land and what they're able to do on it without getting a criminal rating, and potentially even NPCs and security forces coming to defend that piece of land if there is a criminal actively on it or committing a crime on it. So that was then. Obviously, it got reprioritized and it's not in yet. We know that Cloud Imperium have been working on Rastar, which is the sort of tools they use to place things like that in the background, bases, underground bunkers, whatever, more stuff on the surface, admittedly, but like the modular sort of outposts and that sort of stuff. They're going to eventually evolve that tool and give it to players to be able to build their own bases in game with. So you'd sort of use it to place blueprints or whatever, then you need the materials. If you've got a Pioneer and the Pioneer's in game, you'll be able to do a lot more because it's effectively a mobile factory now. So they've evolved a lot of this sort of base building tech. Now, could we see some stuff making use of sort of persistent entity streaming and server meshing and them putting some steps towards homesteads and base building in game for 4.0? Maybe they might enable you to save different locations and be able to have like rooms at some of these direct outposts and things like that. Maybe there's a lot of stuff they could do. I don't think we'll see full base building for quite a while. Do you think we'll see probably persistent hangars? 4.0 or like 4.1, something like that? Maybe in 3.9. They've patched on the weekend before. They have done patches on the weekend before. It's much rarer, though. What happens when 100 ships self-destruct at the same time? That is a good point. Low frame rates. That's what I would say. Thank you very much for being here, mods, especially you beautiful J-Boy Max. Or some Yetis here somewhere. Do you think we'll get the vintage Zeus spacesuit from RSI when 3.17.2 hits live? Potentially. That's a good point. I don't think that wasn't subscriber flare, was it? I think they're probably just adding it to the game or something. I do stream gameplay for Star Citizen sometimes, like just straight up gameplay and play stuff, especially around like events. So we'll definitely do some stuff with 3.17.2 and Siege of Horizon. There is going to be a wipe for 3.17.2. It's going to be a full persistence wipe of everything except for reputation, is what they've said. Easy now, board. What's the deal on Quantum Boost? Any more news on the mechanic and how it might be used in the game? Can you be more specific? What do you mean by Quantum Boost? Any news and leaks on another PU wipe for 3.18? We don't know if they're going to need to wipe for 3.18. I was expecting a wipe just because of persistent entity streaming and the need to probably clean out a load of the older sort of style of doing databases. Was CIG planning to push through any server meshing updates in 3.18? Well, they're preparing the way for server meshing, so persistent entity streaming is part of that. Or are they saving that for Pyro 4.0? I don't think there probably will be some back end stuff in 3.18. Where's the X1? That's a good question on Wild Type. Hope you're doing well, sir. Wild Type, good chap. We don't know. So that's obviously the origin hoverbike. We haven't talked much about that for a while. I think we'll see the Rangers in game first, which is the wheeled bikes, because they're sort of doing a physics wheeled ground vehicle refactor at the moment. How are you doing? I'm doing pretty well, thanks. Got any word on the F8 Lightning or like when it might come out? So you can see the F8 Lightning in game occasionally during like the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, and sometimes during Fleet Week and stuff like that as well. That's probably going to be a ship that is released more fully once Squadron 42 is live. I've been a backer since 2015 and always been curious. Any idea why CIG never added a hotkey or button on the PTU launcher to report bugs? Yeah, I'd like to be able to report them in game. So I'd like it so when you log into Star Citizen, it comes up with known issues in like a in game, especially in the PTU. Sort of like, this is what the testing focus is. These are known issues. Please report these when you see them. Bam. Nice and easy. They probably get quite a lot of player feedback and data anyway. So, CIG mentioned anything about tweaking ballistics again in the future, making them equally as viable as energy weapons. Yes, there's going to be constant balance, but in the future, you're going to see big balance changes again, especially with things like physicalized damage and physical components. They are coming. What else we got here? What are your thoughts on some of the Star Citizen machinima? Have a favourite? I mean, so I loved some of the like combined arms and some of the older stuff like that. That was really good. Relian? He obviously got hired by Clan Imperium. There's been some absolutely great Star Citizen machinima already. When that game becomes a bit more mainstream and people start building machinima, then that's when they sort of like start to catch. Brewbid, thank you very much. Hey, hi, mate. Do you find yourself more excited in the moment before new patches like this one than patches in years gone? Does one particular patch stand out in your mind for your hype and fulfillment? Oh, like 3.6.2 was probably the best fun I've had for general sort of combat in game. Like, that was a great patch. 2.0, 3.0, both those patches are incredibly fantastic for like content and like new WoW stuff. Even some of it being so broken and rubber bandy and all that sort of jazz. We've come so far. Xenothreat's always been a great sort of event as well. No one thing in particular. There's been a lot of quite cool things. Hope you're doing well, Brewbeard, mate. Thank you very much for renewing your board subscription. That's very much appreciated. And using the join button under my videos. I appreciate all the donations and subscriptions and join buttony boys and bits and all that sort of jazz. It all goes into making the channel better with better hardware and, you know, paying me in sin and me eventually one day buying a house. What else have we got? Did you play in yesterday's PT patch? Yes, I've been playing in the R patch. And if so, did you see attack gurneys that randomly spawned in the Horizon Hospital elevators that tried to kill players? No, I did not. I know things like that are silly, and obviously some of that sort of physics items and the trolleys and things glitch, especially when going into elevators. I think it's because they have like the elevators have their own weird sort of sphere where they break and sort of. It's because they try to make physical elevators. Like, okay, I love that they've tried to make Star Citizen immersive and high fidelity, But it fix a lot of the problems in game right now by just make elevators teleporters. Make most of them teleporters. Ones that can be teleporters. Make it teleporters. They can still look like elevators. They can just teleport you. What else have we got? And with all the effort they've put into this patch, fixes, and new content, it's at a stage to be fully released. How much more do they need to decide it's a full game? Pyro could be treated as DLC. So, there's a huge amount to get in the game before they even move into beta. We're talking like 4 years, 4 or 5 years before beta. There's a huge range of things they need to get in game. Loads of mechanics, loads of physical components, physical damage system, tweaking balance, a huge amount more game mechanics like beyond salvage and exploration and science gameplay. There's quite a bit. I mean, it's all doable. It just takes a while. When is the next Fleet Week? So Fleet Week's typically in May. The Intergalactic Aerospace Expo is the next sort of major sale and sort of free fly / expo event, and that's at the end of November typically. Although we might see some cool stuff around October with CitizenCon. Aimings, ask me anything, mate. Feel free to ask your questions. Question in brackets. Is it true that there will be another wipe? There's going to be a wipe for 3.17.2, yes. And there will be wipes in the future beyond that, yes. Hello again, Bored. Wasn't there something in a monthly report recently about a modification, the way quantum travel works? I thought they called it quantum boost. Maybe I mentioned it. So, I know they're tweaking the quantum travel experience. There's going to be more sort of things that can happen during quantum flight and better sort of scenarios and events and things. I don't know that there's going to be anything that makes you even faster during quantum or anything like that, beyond, you know, general components. Any news on other ship reworks, ship changes like the Aurora missing VTOL, as they did with the Mustang now? So they're bringing a lot of the old ships up to gold standard and making sure they've got all their sort of cupboards and areas correct metrically for sort of components. So you might see some ships change a little tiny bit, and they're getting things like the cargo boxes functional and things like the Mustang and the Aurora, things like that as well. Know anything about Letters from Mega Part 2? No. Letters from Vega's quite old now, isn't it? What's that? It's 4 years ago. Yeah, Letters from Vega was a good one. Combined Arms was a good one. Was that around 4 years ago as well, Combined Arms? 5 years ago. Nice. There's some pretty cool stuff there. Are you planning to do a video regarding points of interest and overall you think we'll be able to pin locations that we discovered? In the future, we'll Clan Imperium are working on a new map and mini-map and sort of navigation, ways to navigate on the planet as well. So you will see stuff like that in the not-too-distant future. Point of interest-wise, me and Zin will be covering the new derelict outposts and the reclaimer settlements, among other sort of new areas in 3.17.2, once that goes live. How much did you spend on Star Citizen ships? For me, I've spent at least $3,000 around that sort of area. Obviously, then I buy lots of ships for giveaways and things as well. Will we ever be able to react with elevator doors without exiting third person? What? So, oh, I see what you mean. The holding F to interact with things. I think they want to have the game mostly first person. Any plans on incorporating official races for use with some of the competition racing ships? That'll be interesting to see. I expect to see more racing courses in game and for them to get functionality for being like enforced in some way rather than just player enforced. But Clan Imperium haven't given us that much more information on that yet, other than they're interested in having racing in game. When is the wipe actually happening? As soon as 3.17.2 goes live. When will ships' inventories be physical cargo? I want to raid people's ships. Oh, so you want to actually be able to get into their ship's cargo and loot it. Potentially with 3.18 with the cargo refactor. What is the first type of mission you'll do in 3.17.2 after live happens? Well, I'll see if the Siege of Horizon's on. That's the sort of major thing I want to do. I'll probably check out, if it's not on, I'll probably check out the Reclaimer sites and then general outposts, the new colonial ones. Excited for the Drake Corsair? I think it's a cool ship. I mean, I have a Carrack, so I enjoy my Carrack more. When do you think it'll be in game? I think it's possible if all the stars and the moons align. You could have it in the game by the end of the year, but sort of I think maybe middle of next year. It's probably where Clan Imperium is sort of trying to get it in. What's your guess on the patch release? So I think it's possible we could have it today. What's your guess on 3.18? So once 3.17.2 goes live, give it a couple of weeks, and then I suspect they'll start Evocati testing for 3.18, very early Evocati testing. Why do you say 4 to 5 years for beta? The CIG says something about that. So I'm just looking more at the rate of progress. There's obviously quite a lot of focus on Squadron 42, and there's been significant delays, and Clan Imperium are quite slow with development. That's why I say about 4 to 5 years for beta. That is what I reckon. It's not I reckon, rather than Clan Imperium saying anything. Well, I mean, they've said a lot, but they haven't given us any hard deadlines or dates or anything. Should we have a campaign to have you immortalized as an NPC in game? I will hopefully get my head scanned in at some point, but I can just be immortalized as a player in game. I appreciate the love. Are they going to fix the L1 mining shop terminals in 3.17.2? There's been a load of fixes like that that have been going into 3.17.2, so hopefully they'll get this sorted for live. Do you know if the 300 series cargo bay is fixed? I don't. Not for sure. Has there been any surprisingly fast turnarounds in recent memory? Like a quick gold pass on a ship or quick ship release? There's been lots of features that they've just suddenly gone, and this feature's ready, and that they haven't talked about. What's your opinion on Star Atlas footage? Wait until it's actually somehow playable. I do feel that looking at Star Atlas, I was sort of like, are they just trying to cash in on NFTs and people's hype for a space game like Star Citizen? Maybe. I will reserve judgment. Do you think the Starfarer will finally have a job in Pyro, or will it be like the system we have now? So, I mean, they might add pretty soon after 4.0 sort of gas mining, maybe. I think the Starfarer obviously is going to be a very, very useful way of refueling in the Pyro system. Will they add the ability for NPCs to request refueling? Probably in the not too distant future. But lots of players are going to want to be refueled by them. And obviously now with ratings basically persisting for service beacons, you're going to be able to rate and know that people have got sort of levels of rating based on how good they've been at refueling and being refueled. What's your thoughts on the Constellation's bridge view? In future gold passes, you reckon they'd sort out how truly awful it is? So they might tweak the bridge and tweak the struts. They've sort of said that previously. Tricksy little hobbitses. 3000 error? Thank you very much. I appreciate. Oh, they've been anonymously gifted. Thank you, thank you. How do we think bounty hunting will work when we pirates will have Pyro to run to? Well, they'll be able to bounty hunt you in Pyro. The overlords will typically probably be okay with bounty hunters. And Ruin Station will probably have a load of bounty hunters on it as well. Just because there's an extra bit of running, that makes everything and sort of cat and mouse, that's a lot more interesting. Question: when are they going to start to rework the 600i interior? They have for both variants. They've been reworking it for a while. I don't know when it's going to be implemented. I wouldn't expect it to be too much longer though. The rear of the ship is where a lot of the magics happened. What's the difference between buying a ship with real money and earning it in game? Any advantages to either? Well, yeah, when you don't buy it with real money, you save a lot of money. Buying it with real money means that it's going to be in your on your account with every reset and every patch, whatever. So the reset the game until live, bam, 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 you'll have access to that ship. And after the game goes live, potentially you can sell that ship or lose that ship if you don't have it insured. I wanted to watch some law videos for Star Citizen, and if I remember correctly, I think you said Zin had a law series. She does, on my channel. It's my editor. She does her law videos once a week. Just go into my channel and look at the... go to playlists and look at law. Do you want me to post it as well? I will post it as well. Do not worry. My channel... I need to navigate my channel a bit better, to be honest. Me personally. Probably a way of making all this look better. It's not immediately and obviously accessible, is it? Okay, I'll tweak some of this around. Make it a bit easier to navigate. Voice channel. Let me do it now. Let me do that now for you. Replace. Do this one. Wait. Ah. Can't add any more sections. I'll have to get rid of a section. Edit section content. Law. There we go. Publish. Now on my homepage for my channel, let's actually bring this up. Now see law. My homepage at the bottom. I need to tweak this around and fiddle with it for show. Click that join button. Oh, because it gives you so many perks and helps me. Oh, no, what am I doing? No, bad. Better. What else have we got? Is there any news on NPC crews? No. So, no new news on that. The first thing you'll probably see is AI blades, which are going to be sort of modules and the computers you put in your ship that will give semi-autonomous function to things like turrets, but also maybe like have automatic launching for countermeasures. That's probably the things you'll see first. Are you planning to do a video recording points of interest? Yes, I am. I said that earlier. What else we got here? when will the Hornet get the gold standard love? They're working on ships like the Hornet at the moment and making sure they're got the sort of component cupboards in the right place and bring them up to gold standard. When I say working on them, I don't know what ships they're actually currently working on, but they are working on a large section of ships. It's going to take them a while. It's going to be into a lot of next year. Do you think we'll see jump holes in the future, like a freelancer, which are not controlled? Yeah, I think we'll see wormholes and jump points that are uncontrolled or ones that are discoverable. Got merchantman question mark? I think we'll see more of it at CitizenCon and later this year. They're obviously actively working on the banning merchantman at the moment. What else have we got? Do you think insurance will be expensive? It's going to be a small percentage of the value of a ship in question. So on small to medium ships, no, it's going to be inexpensive and sensibly priced. And I think it will range from what exactly you want insured. Do you want the full hull of the ship insured with all the weapons changes that you've made? Because if you've got a load of new items, sort of components and weapons, they might be significantly more valuable than the hull. Of all the concept ships, which are you most excited for and why? I'm really interested in the Perseus. Probably the Pioneer, though. I mean, obviously, base building. Base building is very, very, very exciting for me. When do you think the X1 bike will come in game? I saw it finished a while back. It is not finished, I'll tell you that. So I don't know. I don't know when they're going to be working on the X1, that Origin bike. Do you think the player count increase chance is increasing probability? I don't know. It's gone pretty well, the tests, I'll tell you that. Do you use Reshade? No. Not at the moment. I used to use Reshade. Do you know that there will be plans for ground missions using rovers, etc.? I ask, because there are so many ground things, but I don't feel they have good use yet. Yes, so with ground vehicles and ground gameplay, they're adding more and more ground gameplay and FPS gameplay and like the Siege of Orison and stuff. But we have very little reason still to use ground vehicles for any length of genuine period of time in the persistent universe yet. Soon. What, if anything, do you think CRG can do to balance the fact that a huge percentage of players will be rocking banner merchantmans and other in-law not so common ships in the end game? I don't think they're actually going to be that common as you think. I think there's going to be a huge amount of players when the game goes mainstream. And obviously you're going to see a lot more NPC ships as well filling out the verse. Do you think of the improved tactics for AI at the Siege of Orison? What did you think of the improved AI tactics on the Siege of Orison? I had Ninetales catching me in crossfires. So I had AI actually reacting to me and shooting at me. That was good enough for me. I didn't see much in the way of them using tactics. I think them shooting, the NPCs shooting you wearing Ninetales armor, I think that's probably a bug. I don't think they were shooting for Ninetales armor. It's unlikely. Humans certainly shot me for having Ninetales armor on me. In the long term, for the persistent universe, is the long-term goal for the persistent universe going to function similar to No Man's Sky in regards to infinite system generation? No. It is procedurally assisted generation. So a lot of this stuff is going to then have an artist go in and double check and sort of they use their tool set to help the generation process of assets and of these large planets and moons. But they're very much more handcrafted, and there's like going to be hundreds of planets, not millions. Expect them to keep on adding content though. Expect there to be a procedural nature to some of the content. Do you think we can expect to do you think we can expect the Nautilus with 4.0 or next year? Maybe next year. I'm not sure how important the Nautilus is for Cloud Imperium at the moment. Any noticeable performance in frames in 3.17.2? It's stable and it seems good frame rate. I haven't noticed anything noticeably. Up to the bounty hunter question, how will they track us when the UE isn't in control of the system? So there's still going to be ways of tracking players. So there'll still be reports occasionally if like a minor or a lawful person sees you, or if you approach certain space stations or probes or whatever, there's still going to be like a beep. They were seen here. So maybe a general thing that people do is if they're lawful players, they can go and upload black box data. Right? Anytime they land, it sort of just automatically just goes, it's just going to legally check your black box to make sure you didn't do anything naughty, sort of thing. Did you see any criminals? And then it sort of updates the criminal databases with, actually, I did see this guy over here. Something like that. That's just an assumption. Does the switch from Lumberyard to O3DE involve anything, or is it just a rebranding? I don't know exactly what you're talking about, Chris Brown. So Star Citizen has been, obviously was on CryEngine, then moved to Lumberyard, but then very much went off on its own engine building from there. It's still using Lumberyard as far as I'm aware. Isn't O3D just an evolution of Lumberyard? The open 3D engine version, okay. The successor to Lumberyard. Okay. I don't know how Star Citizen's really been affected by that. I suspect it's not been affected much at all. It will probably bring more developers into the fold that they can hire, as it's more accessible as a engine to work with. Do you think we'll see more medical gameplay anytime soon, and maybe bigger medical ships? Yeah, more medical gameplay. Expect to see that in the not too distant future. They'll keep on updating and tweaking it and adding more functionality. Bigger medical ships. Well, eventually we'll have the Endeavour, which can be outfitted as a hospital ship. I think that the question, do you think the Mercury Star Run needs another entrance? It needs at least another exit point. So entrance, exit, just a little hatch or side door or underbelly door or underbelly hatch with a ladder. Just something very simple, because otherwise just one entrance exit. That's not good enough, really. Especially with the type of ship that it is. With the upcoming physicalization of things, do you think we will start getting more options to customize ship interiors soon? At some point, yeah. For sure. I mean, things like persistent entity streaming make that more possible too. When will the Caterpillar get a rework so it works with physicalized cargo? It doesn't currently have cargo lifts. It needs those cargo lifts to work. I'm expecting them potentially to get some love in 3.18. When, with salvaging in-game, can I destroy my ship, get a new one, and then just salvage my wreck? That's a good question. We'll have to wait and see. There's got to be ways to prevent that, right? Question mark. Do you think UE will ever stop comping our revival fees? Since when you respawn, I tell you that UE paid the bill, and the fact that the insurance officers in the hospital. Okay, that's a good point. There probably will be fees associated with respawning and hospital fees and things like that. For sure, just like in Eve with clones. Do you think insurance will be expensive? We talked about that percentage of the value of the ship, low percentage, but obviously with capital ships and things, that's going to be quite a lot. When does 3.17.2 come out? It could come out literally any hour now. There's if you see a stable PTU build, go to the PTU, and that's probably a potential release candidate, and they'll probably go live pretty quick after that. So between now and the middle of next week. But I do think the Cloud Imperium are trying to push for it ASAP. Will data running be affected by NordVPN? No, of course not. If anything, it will make it more secure. News on science gameplay might work with... so, no. Unfortunately, no updated news van or render to texture or any of the clever Mako, Reliant Mako sort of gameplay being talked about. Nothing really been talked about with Endeavour as well recently. After Pyro, how fast do you think we'll get the third system? They've already been working on for quite a while the Nyx system, so probably not too far away from Nyx after Pyro releases. When you quantum jump with a party member, their ships are not visible in the quantum tunnel. I thought they were if they were close enough to you. And obviously ships accelerate at different speeds based on their components. While at Grimhex, looked like NPCs were being hung, killed as examples. It's a bug. Do you think this will be added on purpose in Pyro? It's cool for traders gangs. I think you'll see silly vignettes like that. Have they said anything more about the Retaliator modularity? I'm expecting the Retaliator to be the first ship to get modularity still. They haven't really talked about it too much recently. They sort of mentioned it a couple of times. It's sort of on the progress tracker. There was some in the monthly report of the progress tracker, I saw some bits on modularity. I'm expecting them to release potentially something for 3.18 or 3.19. So I'm hoping. I love you, Samayati. Do not worry. You never need to be here. You're a beautiful boy. I am going to be stopping pretty soon, though. So shame on you. No, you mate. Appreciate it. When the first Xeno threat happened, we were rewarded with a little extra cash as a reward. Do you think the right will remove this money as well? Yes, I do. Probably. But I think the latest events will potentially add little rewards. So if you participated in the most recent Jump Town and Nine Times Lockdown events, you'll probably get a little something. What's the fastest way to find out when 3.17.2 releases? The subreddit spectrum, probably pretty quick. With all the adorable plushies in game, when will CIG make a BoredGamer plushie? Just a big yellow body pillow. What's the status on hacking? They've been working on hacking for a while. It's going to be a UI sort of / Mobigas hacking minigame as part of using like the data chips and interacting with computers and doing things and missions on them and hacking down your criminal rating and things like that. We don't know when it's exactly going to be in game yet. I'm expecting it for 3.19 at the moment. All right. The 600i will be on sale again. Can you not buy the 600i in game? Can't at the moment. You will be able to buy it in game, so you could buy a 600i in game. Any word on the functionality of the escape pods? No, not at the moment. They'll probably start talking about that after server meshing. But there's a few things they need to get sort of solved before having that realistically. Bored, do you think the ratio between explored and settled systems and unexplored / player explored systems will be? I don't know, so I don't fully understand that question. Sorry, buddy. Given the level of detail and each solar system and the complexities of server tech, do you think 100 systems is still a feasible goal? Yeah, oh yeah, easily. So 100 to 120 systems, yeah. But when they release the game, maybe a dozen or a couple of dozen systems. Do you think there will be a big push to get beta after 4.0? Not immediately. So the things they want to do after 4.0 releases is tweak stuff, potentially release some more star systems like Nyx, and get server meshing, static server meshing in a good place before pushing on to dynamic server meshing. No new interesting news on the Mist Odyssey note, unfortunately. Do you think they'll ever redo the missions board to promote missions set on planets or to encourage driving instead of flying? So I do think there's going to be reasons to use ground vehicles and promote people to stay on planets and just use ground vehicles from a planet to move between areas. Yes. I do expect to see a more robust contracts menu for players and missions and taking NPC missions. Lots of different reasons for that. I also expect to see local job boards. Yes. I am going to be dashing off pretty soon. We'll try and lightning round some questions. Will you please have a great weekend? Yes, I will have a great weekend. Zin's off today. She's seeing her mother, I think. But tomorrow we're going to be playing lots of games and chilling. Hopefully with 3.17.2. Will I be able to get a giant sandworm in my Defender? No. Better get a smaller baby one, maybe. A little co-pilot. Gives you a little thumbs up. Because I know sandworms still have thumbs. Will there ever be another place for pirates and smugglers to hang out and pick up missions beside Grimhex? Yes. When we've had the Pyro system, there'll be Ruin Station and lots of other stations and outposts and things. How often do they release update? As I'm not mistaken, after 3.17.2, they'll be doing server meshing for so the next release will be 3.18, which is roughly estimated to be released at the end of September, but more likely at some point in October. When we do get animals in the wild, do you think they will be harvestable? Yes, I think they'll be huntable, harvestable as part of missions. So big game hunter ones, ones where you've got to do science, ones where you can collect their skins or whatever. Vermin control missions, yes, that sort of thing. Ranta control. Any word on passenger missions? So we know they were working on taxi missions. Expect to probably see that maybe 3.19 sort of end of the year. That's my expectation. Do you know why they haven't released the RSI vintage suit for subscribers? But these bobbleheads. Is the vintage suit supposed to be for subscribers? The Zeus RSI suit. Any idea when Quanta will make its way into the game? I believe Quanta already controls a few little things. The price of repairs and fuel. And it controls some of the encounters that you'll get. And combat service beacons that you'll get. Obviously, they're implementing more and more of it. In fact, you can go check out my latest video on the road to 4.0 to find out more about that. Sorry, Bud. It was meant to say, in your opinion, what do you think of the ratio between fully and pre-explored systems? So it's hard to know. So there's only going to be a very small amount of entirely sort of player findable systems. There's going to be lots of systems that are sort of like hard to explore or dangerous or haven't been explored, but finding out an entirely new one that no one else is aware of, that's going to be very rare. Any idea when we can get the Cutty Purple? That was a joke disco ship for people that don't know. Right. Anything else I can answer real quick? How long until the Mercury Star Runner will have all that data hacky stuff? So data as cargo is something that I think Clan Imperium can probably get in game in the not too distant future, like sort of by the middle of next year, but it could be as early as the end of this year. It depends on when they can get people to work on that feature. I think it's actually probably quite a basic feature to get in game, but we'll have to wait and see, because all they need to really do is make a UI for it, right? Yeah, and then it just handles pretty similar to cargo, just you see it on a UI. Right? Question mark? Do you think there will be a big push to get... no, let's have a look. Given the level of detail and each solar system and the complexities of server tech, do you think 100 systems is still feasible? We talked about that earlier. Do you think Theatres of War will still come out? Yes. So, server tech and network code are the main things holding it back. So, probably once they have server meshing, they'll probably have the netcode in a good enough state. Although it's getting significantly better now. So, maybe after 4.0 launches, we'll see Theatres of War in our hands soon after that, or at least in testing again. That's my expectation. Have you heard anything recently about the inclusion of fauna? So we know that Clan Imperium are working on some animals at the moment, and the planetary navigation mesh that they've been working on allows for animals to move around planets once they get it suitable for the particular size of the animal they're talking about. So obviously that's big steps towards that. Any news on gold standard ships? We talked about them a few times. They're working on well, they're going to be working on very soon, getting all the older ships up to a sort of gold standard and make sure they've got their sort of component cubby holes because they need to do physicalized components. Do you think Hull C will release before the refactor? I think we could see the Hull C with 3.18 with the cargo refactor. Looks like that to me. Do you know alpha UC value CIG gives us after wipe? It's based on a lot of things, including have you participated in some of the events recently, like Jumptown and that sort of jazz. Right, I'm dashing off because I'm becoming more and more incoherent. I need to have some coffee, or a shower, or both, and some lunch. Yes, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to find someone else that is streaming StarCity now. Do expect 3.17.2 to potentially come out any time between now and the middle of next week, but it does look like Callum PM are trying to push it forward today if possible. Basically, we'll see a PTU build later today, almost certainly. If it is in a very good state, it will go to live. That's my expectation there. That's what Clan sort of Theorem have been sort of saying and trying to do anyway. That's what it looks like. Right, let us... Who else is online? So Battle of the Bricks is going to be starting pretty soon. Is it at 5 PM UTC? So an hour and 50 minutes. I want to send you over to my beautiful boy, my brother Ryan. Give the man some love. Boop. That's right. Bam. He's a good boy. He makes good Star Citizen content. It's very similar to mine. That's how you know he can be trusted. But thank you so much for joining me today. It's very much appreciated. Hope you guys have a great weekend as well. Hopefully 3.17.2 will go live later, and we can play in the Siege of Horus, and maybe this weekend / next weekend. I don't know when that's actually going to be running the Siege of Horus. It might not be immediate. Maybe it will. Who knows? Thanks so much for joining me today.